The movie begins with introducing Damien Hale, a wealthy businessman, who is gravely ill with terminal cancer. He was told that he has 6 months to live. Despite his wealth, he feels weak and vulnerable. He went into a business meeting and went back to his car after. Damien took out a cryptic card from a company called Phoenix Biogenic, offering a procedure known as shedding, which transfers his consciousness into a new artificial body. Skeptical, but curious, Damien meets Dr. Albright, the lead scientist, who assures him of the process's safety. Damien leaves without committing. As his time runs out, Damien tries to reconnect with his estranged daughter, Claire, who runs a struggling nonprofit. His attempt to help her financially is angrily rejected. In his office, Damien researches shedding and watches a lecture by Dr. Francis Jensen about overcoming age and illness. Intrigued, Damien collapses from a severe coughing fit and contacts Dr. Albright, agreeing to the procedure. Albright warns that Damien must abandon his past life. To stage his death, Albright suggests a public collapse at Commander's Palace in New Orleans. Before heading there, Damien buries a metal box at a cemetery. At the restaurant, he meets his business partner Martin and, following Albright's instructions, drinks a specific coffee. Feeling drowsy, Damien collapses and is taken not to a hospital but to Albright's lab, where they remove all metal fillings from his teeth to prevent malfunctions in the shedding machine. Damien and a new body are placed into the machine simultaneously. After the procedure, Damien awakens to see his old body being covered with a sheet on the adjacent bed. In his new body, Damien must relearn basic skills like walking and swimming. Dr. Albright provides medication to mitigate the shedding process's side effects, warning that without it, Damien might experience hallucinations and migraines. Under his new identity, Edward Kidner, born on September 20, 1980, in Phoenix, Arizona, Damien moves to a new house with only 7 pills for his symptoms. Albright insists on weekly meetings, stating that Damien is still adjusting and promising more freedom in a few months. Damien starts playing basketball at a local court, meeting Anton, who invites him to a club. Enjoying his new life, Damien parties regularly with Anton. After skipping his medication for a day, he experiences vivid hallucinations of a military operation, a Hispanic woman caring for a child, and a water tower shaped like a pumpkin. When Damien asks Albright about the hallucinations, the doctor dismisses them as scrambled remnants of old memories. Damien suspects the Latina woman might have been a fleeting acquaintance. Albright changes the topic, giving Damien a ticket to Hawaii and more medication, assuring him that consistent use will prevent further hallucinations. Curious about the water tower, Damien researches it and discovers it is in St. Louis, Missouri. Before heading to the airport, he retrieves a buried box from the cemetery and buys a ticket to St. Louis instead of Hawaii to investigate. In St. Louis, Damien finds the water tower and nearby house, discovering the name Madeline Bitwell from the mail. Inside, he finds a photograph of himself with Madeline and her child, realizing the man whose body he now inhabits had a past life and served in the military. Madeline enters, pointing a gun at him. Upon seeing Damien, she breaks down, recognizing him as her supposedly deceased husband Mark. As Madeline struggles to comprehend the situation, a man arrives looking for Edward Kidner. Damien opens the door to find the driver who had taken him to the airport. Suddenly, another man seizes Madeline, creating a distraction that allows the driver to tackle and pin Damien. In the chaos, Anton enters, revealing how Damien ended up in Mark's body. Anton reveals that Mark had approached Phoenix Biogenic out of desperation when his insurance failed to cover his daughter's medical expenses. Meanwhile, one of Albright's henchmen sets Madeline's pickup truck ablaze with a flamethrower. Later, Damien tells Anton he needs to use the bathroom to take his pills. The driver escorts him to ensure he doesn't escape, but after taking his medication, Damien overpowers and kills him. Hearing the commotion, Anton and another operative head toward the bathroom. Damien shoots the henchman in the shoulder, prompting Anton to negotiate. A sudden explosion outside distracts Damien, giving Anton the chance to disarm him. They struggle, with Damien eventually tackling Anton out of the house. Damien quickly runs back inside, dodging Anton's gunfire. As he wakes Madeline, Anton orders a henchman to set the house on fire. Smoke fills the air as Damien and Madeline escape through a hatch in the floor. Damien shoots the flamethrower-wielding henchman in the leg, causing him to fall and set Anton on fire. Anton runs to a tub of water and dives in to extinguish himself. Damien eliminates the remaining operatives and leaves the burning house with Madeline. On their way to the van, Damien explains that Mark had made a deal with Phoenix Biogenic to save their daughter, Anna. Disappearing was part of the arrangement because he needed to do things he couldn't if he were still alive. After a brief discussion, they head to Anna's school, where she excitedly reunites with her father. The three check into a hotel for the night. To avoid further questions from Madeline, Damien steps outside and searches for more information on shedding. While searching online, Damien finds a link revealing that Dr. Jensen had died in a public library. Watching the video of Jensen again, Damien notices that Jensen and Albright share the same mannerisms, particularly how they touch the temples of their eyeglasses. This realization leads Damien to conclude that Jensen's consciousness was transferred into Albright's body. Without his medication, Damien begins hallucinating, recalling when Mark first met Albright in the lab. Determined to uncover more, Damien heads to New Orleans to visit Dr. Jensen's wife, Phyllis, who is suffering from Alzheimer's. Posing as one of Jensen's former students, he seeks information about Jensen's research, but Phyllis is unaware of its whereabouts. Discovering that Albright visits Phyllis weekly, Damien persuades her to call Albright and request a visit. When Albright arrives, Damien confronts him at gunpoint, demanding more pills. Albright reveals that the medication not only prevents hallucinations but also keeps Damien's consciousness intact. Without it, Damien's mind will deteriorate, and Mark's consciousness will resurface. Each dose of the medication erases parts of Mark's memories, including his military training and instincts. If Damien continues taking the drug, Mark will eventually be erased completely within a year. Demanding to be taken back to the lab, Damien is suddenly disarmed by a henchman as they leave the house. As they head toward the vehicle, Damien's hallucinations intensify. When they reach the car, Madeline approaches, only to be struck by a henchman with the car door. Seizing the moment, Damien breaks free to protect her, snapping the neck of one of the henchmen in the process. Another operative tackles Damien, attempting to strangle him. Madeline grabs a gun and shoots the henchman in the temple. Damien hears the man call him Eddie and notices the distinctive necklace Anton wore around his neck. Anton, who has undergone multiple sheddings, reveals himself and taunts Madeline, insinuating that Damien is hiding secrets from her. He challenges her to ask Damien if he knows her birthday. Damien seizes Anton's pills and drives away with Madeline and Anna. At a gas station, Madeline confronts Damien, demanding to know if he remembers anything about their life together. Damien confesses that he took over Mark's body and reveals that her husband is already dead. He promises to help Madeline and Anna escape, knowing that Albright and his men will stop at nothing to catch them. The trio seeks refuge at Martin's house, asking for his help to flee the country. Damien reveals that he has undergone shedding and survived, but Martin is skeptical until Damien shows him a deed to the first building they bought together and recounts their celebration of their first successful deal. Convinced, Martin arranges a plane for their escape. While waiting, Damien teaches Anna how to swim. After the lesson, she follows a whirring noise from across the hall. Meanwhile, Damien and Madeline are kissing and talking. When Damien and Madeline realize Anna is missing, they start searching and notice all the mirrors in the house are covered. They find Anna in a room full of toys, playing with a young boy. Damien takes Anna and informs Madeline that the boy is Martin's late son Tony, who died 2 years ago. Martin admits he had reached out to Phoenix Biogenics after Tony's death. He then warns Damien that Phoenix operatives are already stationed outside his property. Damien reveals that the bodies Phoenix uses are not artificially grown but taken from living people. Confronted with the truth about shedding, Martin decides to assist Damien by creating a diversion to help Madeline and Anna escape. Martin instructs Damien to meet them at a truck stop where they'll wait until midnight. As Damien drives away, he scans for any tailing cars. Soon, 2 vehicles appear and start shooting at him. Further down the road, Anton and another operative wait in separate vehicles. When one henchman notices Damien is alone, Anton orders another to check Martin's house. The 2 cars box Damien in, so he reverses to smash the car behind him. However, the car gets hooked to the rear bumper. Anton then arrives from the opposite direction and opens fire upon seeing Damien's van. As a henchman's car remains stuck behind him, Damien suddenly turns just before reaching Anton's car, causing Anton to crash into the other operative's vehicle, which skids off the road. Anton is incapacitated after smashing into a tree. Outside Martin's house, a Phoenix operative lures Madeline and Anna into his car as Martin tries to intervene. At the truck stop, Damien waits anxiously, but only Martin arrives. Martin explains he couldn't stop Madeline and Anna from getting into the car. He confesses he had sent the Phoenix biogenic card to Damien, feeling indebted for his role in their business. Martin provides Damien with some pills, revealing he reverse-engineered them to eliminate their dependency on Albright. Hoping to locate Albright's lab through his visions, Damien refrains from taking the pills for the day. Damien soon learns that the lab is hidden in an abandoned warehouse that stores Mardi Gras floats. He breaks into the lab alone and finds the shedding room, where Anton and another man are laid out on gurneys. Albright arrives and reveals that he has resurrected Anton 3 times, making him increasingly loyal. He also reveals that Madeline is being prepped for shedding for another client, and her daughter's organs are to be harvested. Enraged, Damien shoots at Albright, only to find the glass is bulletproof. As guards rush in to subdue him, Albright explains that he had planned to use a 40-year-old accountant's body for Anton's next shedding but will now use Mark's body instead due to its proven military training and instincts. During the struggle, Damien manages to put a bullet casing in his mouth. After the shedding process, Albright questions the man on the gurney to verify the procedure's success. When asked how many children he has, the man smirks and responds that he has none, revealing that the pictures of children were just images he had downloaded from the internet. After leaving the shedding room, Damien interrogates the henchman about Madeline and her daughter's location. He swiftly kills the 2 guards watching over them. Meanwhile, Albright, noticing the bullet casing in the shedding chamber, grows anxious, fearing the shedding process may have failed. With guards in pursuit, Damien, Madeline, and Anna find themselves in the viewing room adjacent to the shedding chambers. Albright, confident that Damien wouldn't kill him due to his dependency on the pills, taunts him. However, Damien spots the flamethrower and begins reciting the formula for the drug, signaling to Albright that he no longer needs him. He ignites the flamethrower, using it to melt the bulletproof glass and kill Albright. Damien then arranges for Madeline and Anna to escape to the Caribbean. Before departing, he visits Claire's office, leaving her a heartfelt letter expressing his regrets and wishes for what he could have done while he was still alive. As he walks away, he sees Claire smiling through the window as she reads the letter. Days later, Damien wakes up in an unfamiliar room. He notices a laptop across the room and clicks on a video file on the desktop. In the video, Damien addresses Mark, explaining that he was the one who inhabited his body and expressing gratitude for the extra months of life it granted him. He reveals that he has stopped taking the pills, allowing Mark to regain control of his body. Damien welcomes Mark back and asks him to take good care of his wife and daughter. Mark, now fully himself, sails to another island to reunite with Madeline and Anna. Upon arrival, Madeline initially mistakes him for Damien but soon realizes it's Mark when she feels his embrace. Overcome with emotion, Madeline calls out to Anna, and the family is joyfully reunited. With that, the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.